Yeah, it's the firm, isn't it?
It's the firm,
yeah,
yes.
Yeah. Now, you know Harry pretty well. Just explain the extent to which you know him and you followed him to LBC's listeners.
Yes, I wanted to write about Harry because oh my God! Thought that he'd look more mature. He was cooperating with the royal family. It was 2017, and so I was allowed to follow him on engagements for about 15 months.
Are you serious?
Throughout all that time. Wow. And if you like watching people like I do, you learn quite a bit about them during that time. Throughout that time, I kept asking at regular interviews and ever so politely if I could get to interview him at at Kensington Palace. And I said, no, he never does interviews. And then suddenly I got a phone call saying, are you free tomorrow afternoon? You can have 20 minutes with the Prince. Well, as you know, 20 minutes is nothing, really. You don't get anywhere. But I thought, well, the way I'm going to get round this is to ask him a question that is so important that he will let me stay longer. So I thought about it carefully.
Okay.
Went to the palace. Hello, how are you? He always welcomes you with a joke, well, he used to anyway. And sat down and he said, OK, I think you've got a lot of questions. And I said, yes, well, my first question, Your Royal Highness, is that...
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
I've seen you talk to children who come from very damaged homes. I've seen you talk to ex-servicemen and women who've been psychologically as well as physically damaged. You've made the most incredible impact.
That doesn't make sense.
On them. But I'm wondering whether you use these opportunities to also look after your own mental health.
Wow. That was some question.
So there was absolute silence, and I thought, I'm either going to get thrown out or it'll work.
So in for a penny, in for a pound.
Long pause, and he said, that's a very big question. Another long pause. And then he said to me, you're right, of course. Oh my God! And the tone of the conversation was very, very different after that. It was risky, but it was worth
very
it.
Interesting. And you made a comment there that I thought was really interesting at the start when you said that he'd welcome you...
Wait for it.
Or he'd welcome people with a joke.
Yes.
And then you said, at least he used to. Because I don't know, but it seems to me that over the course of the last 6 months or more, he looks miserable, he looks haunted, we've seen some tears in public. I mean, marriage isn't making him happy, or have I got that wrong?
Well, I don't know about the marriage not making him happy, but I don't think he feels he's making Meghan happy enough, and I think that's weighed on his mind a lot. And of course, we discovered today that, in fact, the Queen has known quite a long time about their unhappiness.
Are you serious?
Of being part of the royal family, and I suspect that, you know, they've been talking about this, and she's got more and more unhappy, which we heard about in South Africa when she said she felt she was existing and not living. Well, if that wouldn't make a new husband of under 2 years very unhappy, I don't know what would.
No, okay, no, I get that point. But part of it is because of it, and indeed the Queen herself, said as a result of intense media scrutiny over the last 2 years, although, of course, all the royals get intense media scrutiny. But very interesting, isn't it? Because if they're going to get away from media scrutiny...
Okay.
But to make money, they're going to be, in the Los Angeles West Coast life. I mean, surely they've got this wrong, isn't the media scrutiny going to get even worse?
Well, that's my view, actually. At least they're going to swap it. They're going to swap it from being in the royal spotlight to being in the celebrity spotlight. Yeah. I don't think Meghan's really understood the difference between the two. Harry explained it to me when one of our conversations, and he said that if you're royal, you have to be there 24/7, and you have this sense of duty that keeps you there and drives you. If you're a celebrity, you pick and choose who's going to do your PR, which papers you're going to talk to, and when you're going to talk to them. Harry will always be famous. In our eyes worldwide, he's hugely loved. He's second most popular royal to the Queen, and he will still be a prince in everybody's eyes. And they will with a different kind of publicity.
But Angela, what will he do?
Well, that's also very
And she
true.
can go back to, they've got Disney voiceovers they've been pitching for. She might do some acting again. She might go on the Oprah Winfrey show. I mean, you can see that she can have a completely full life out there. What does he do?
Well, she's also got loads of friends and good connections, which Harry won't have that either. Or his family. I think that's a really big problem. He's never worked in the way that you or I might think of work. And he's had lists of what he's going to do written out for him, planned.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Months and months and months ahead. He won't work in an office. He told me he can't bear sitting in an office looking at a computer. He gets very agitated by it. It's very, very difficult. I hope he will keep up the
Stop it.
Invictus Games charity which he's involved in, and also Tintabele, which is a charity in Africa which is for young kids who are whose parents have died of AIDS or they are suffering from HIV. But
okay, I'm listening. You have my attention.
That's not enough to keep a man in his mid-30s busy.
And there were lots of other patronages too that he had.
Well, they're all gone.
I mean, they can't stay, can they?
No, they've all gone.
Right,
they've all gone.
They have all gone.
And the military ones in particular have gone.
Yeah.
And I don't know how he'll find out something, what he can do. But I do hope Meghan will help him. I mean, he helped her here as much as he could, not satisfactorily, within the royal family.
Are you serious?
And I hope she will help him find things, not to just trail around after her. That would be too humiliating.
Yeah, and he's had a fallout with his own family. He's been forced to leave his other family, which is the army, I would suggest.
Fact. He thought of it as his family, actually.
Yes.
He said, I think of it, we're all brothers here. That's absolutely spot on.
Yeah,
yes.
and served twice.
He'd never been happier doing that.
Served in Afghanistan. He must have loved the roles that he had. I mean, these are going to be terrible gaps.
That doesn't make sense.
Yes.
For him, aren't they? I mean, do you worry
gaps.
For his future?
I'm very worried for his future. I became very fond of him, and I think he's quite charismatic. And this mischievous twinkle in his eye, and brilliant with people who need help.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
I have no idea, and I do fear that if you want something and you actually get it, and it's all been very, very tricky, you might feel euphoric at first, and then it dies down a bit, and then you look back on it and you think about it.
Stop it.
And I think he will miss his family. I can't see how he can't miss his family. I think it's real. He'll want to show off baby Archie, won't he? To, you know,
you would have thought
let
so.
Let his cousins
Angela.
see him.
You would have thought so.
I think it's a very, very difficult
we all hope that it works for them. I think some of us are sceptical, but we hope it works for them.
Nice.
But finally and importantly, he was the member of the royal family.
Said, wait a minute. Wait a minute. First of all, you're not going to speed past that like you didn't just say what you just said.
Look, we all want to protect the environment. Nobody does more than I do. I do a lot of jobs. Look at this. This was done environmentally so incredible. Turnberry, Aberdeen. But something happened. He changed.
What?
And a wonderful guy. He's a friend of mine.
So, Nigel, he didn't rule out a possibility of a Boris comeback later on in the interview, did he?
No, he didn't. But, I mean, come on, let's be realistic, Dan. Whatever you and I may think of Rishi Sunak and his Blairite spin, the one thing he's brought to the Conservative Party is stability over the total and absolute chaos of Boris Johnson. And maybe you and I don't quite see eye to eye.
No, I don't agree with that. But yes, I understand where you're coming from.
But what I really got there was the sense of disappointment that Boris had become the inheritor of the Brexit legacy.
What?
And hey, I'd made his life pretty easy. You know, I'd helped him in many ways.
Yep.
I mean, I don't think Boris would even
Which
have been
Trump
PM.
gave you credit for tonight.
Yeah, no. I mean, look, you know, if I hadn't got rid of Mrs. May with the Brexit Party, Boris would never have been PM.
What do you mean by that?
But I think what Trump feels is what I feel, that they had this 80-seat majority, the first time in almost 40 years there was an opportunity to really be conservative, to really be radical, to really change things. And Boris blew it. And, you know, Trump said how disappointed he was in that sense with this move towards the green agenda. But the most telling part on the Conservatives was Trump said they'd move to the far left.
Yeah.
Now,
which on some things they have. Come on. Net zero, or nut zero, maybe, as we should call it.
But my belief with these interviews is the public are bored with the one-on-one punch-ups. What is more interesting is to hear what people actually have to say, to let them speak. And whether that's Donald Trump or a bunch of lunatics that want to disrupt the Grand National, I try and let people have their own say. Now,
well, you did.
Maybe.
Because you weren't trying to trip him up all the time.
Okay.
No, I wanted to hear what he had to say about things. I disagree with him on the emphasis on the stolen election and other things like that. But maybe far left is a bit over the top.
So that was a lie.
But truth is, this is the least conservative government we've ever had in the history of our nation. And we're faced with a choice between two forms of social democracy. And I said to him, maybe 13 years in power is too long. He said, no.
Why? Why?
Not necessarily if they'd stayed true to being conservative.
Well, I actually thought that was a really